I love printing. I love printing. I love it. I love printing. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Printer to Printer with me, Warren Werbitt. Today, we have a young fella who's not a printer, but heavily involved in our industry. We have Brad Ranson from Komcan. How you doing?
Good, Warren. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all good. I'm always good. Thank you. Before I get into anything, why don't you just give us a little lowdown on who, what Komcan is?
Yeah, so Komcan, we're the Canadian dealer for Komori as well as MBO now, since Komori purchased them about actually almost 2.5 years ago now. And that entails parts, service, and sales across both those brands.
So question, first thing comes to mind is, how old are you?
I'm 27.
No kidding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been running around in the industry? First of all, I just wanted for everyone to know Komcan is a family business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Your dad's in it. Your dad's awesome. Loves his cars, loves his fishing. That's why we get along.
Yep.
But you're 27. We had a quick conversation. You said you started like 10 years ago.
Yep.
Right? And you worked through school.
Yep.
Okay, so you graduated school. I'm assuming you graduated.
I did.
Okay, cool. So you graduated school, and now you're back in Komcan full time.
Yep.
Why? You're 27. It's the printing industry. Tell me why you're in it.
You know, Warren, it's you're actually a great person to speak to about this, because I remember when my first forays into the industry, it was probably, and you'd remember, probably around 2009 when you released the first Printing's Alive video. And I remember sitting at school and laughing to myself at it and trying to show my friends and getting the look of like, this isn't funny. What are you doing? And that kind of set the path for the reactions you get to people mentioning the printing industry moving forward. So I started when I was 16 in high school, working at a print shop in the city here in Toronto. And I worked on a saddle stitcher, feeding the pockets on the stitcher, and as well as just sitting there with a rubber mallet, blanking dies on CD cases. Something that even 10 years ago was still around. That's one of the things we've lost, unfortunately.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. And from there, it kind of snowballed. I mean, went off to university. First year, came back, said, hey, I was in political science. This isn't what I want to do anymore. So my dad said, well, why don't you work for me in service for a couple months and figure out what you want to do? So I did that for 3 or 4 months across the summer, went back to school with economics. But our parts person had just left for another opportunity at the time. So in that window, I went back to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday, while I was helping run the parts department on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're out on the road. You're meeting all kinds of people.
Yeah.
How do you find the industry? Like, are you working with a lot of old people? Are you working with young people? Do you get a lot of attitude, or do you find people that are excited? I mean, I'm asking you a lot of questions, but just give me the feel on the street, because really, as the young guy, that's the point that, that's what interests me, not what I have to say or who I meet and think.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point, because when I first started doing sales, I started in 2018 covering Western Canada. And I start just before that, kind of shadowing our previous sales rep, going around with him. And you get two reactions, really. And at the time I was 24, just starting to do sales in it, maybe a little bit younger even. And you'd either go into a shop and someone would be very excited and engaging and happy to see a young person in the industry and want to know your background, similar to someone like you and what we're doing right now. And then there's the other half the shops you'd go into that would look at you, and it could be most of the times it was a grumpy old guy who would look at you and go, what are you doing in this industry? Why are you here? Go do something else. But that was also a good little measuring stick on the type of people that we want to be partners with, and who was going to be a big printer and a big customer in my eyes, potentially moving forward, is someone who had the attitude that wanted to see young people in the industry, because they know that that's only going to benefit them and help them grow, right?
Oh, absolutely. So when you sit around with your friends and you're in the printing industry, like, I'm going to go with the assumption that you would actually like it because you made the decision to go in
Yep.
And anyone who works with their family has to really like the business to be there, right?
100%.
Just to offset the family dynamic stuff that goes on,
Yep.
right? But even amongst your friends, when they're doing whatever they're doing, and you're in the print industry, what do they say? Do they say anything? Do they, because I know a lot of people walk around, oh, print's dead, or you speak to young people, they think it's over.
Yeah. My dad's been doing this for, 30 years now, probably. So growing up, most of my friends already knew what he did, at least, so they had an idea. And ever since I started getting into it, I've been the guy who's been with my friends at the grocery store going, I know who printed that. I've seen that. And, that my equipment prints this. And that's one of the coolest parts to me in the industry, is being able to go around with whether it's my girlfriend or my friends and pointing at boxes or printed pieces and saying, that was printed on one of my machines.
That is so funny, because I always say, I've always said from the beginning that I would be, when we started, I'd be in the grocery store, and my wife at the time would be at the cash register, and I'd hear, Warren, where are you? Which meant that she had to pay.
Yeah.
And I'd be in some aisle going, I can't believe they fucking accepted that. If I delivered it, they would have refused it.
Yeah.
Right. So I always wonder about that. The thing, print is dead. How do you really feel about print? What do you think about it? Right. Just because you're out there.
It's since day one. I think as well as myself and all the other printers know, print's not dead, and it's not going anywhere. I remember as a kid, I used to make fun of
Say that again. I like the way it sounds.
Print is not dead. It's not going anywhere.
Thank you.
And I remember I used to make fun of my dad as a kid because he was in printing, and I thought I was the cool young kid with my new iPhone and a laptop computer, right? And I remember him saying to me, until that cereal box has an LED panel on the front, print's never going to be dead. And that's
like that.
Yeah.
Listen, I always say print's never going to die, because it can't. Without print, nothing runs in the world. No instructions, even though some are PDF online now. No signage, no hospital, no food, no drug, no nothing. So we're pretty solid. I think just we as an industry, I just have to keep the pricing in a place where we could all make some money, so we could reinvest in new equipment that you're selling.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's definitely changing, like you said, but it's still there. And I like how you said hospital, Warren.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I like how you said hospital, because I rewatched one of your Printings Live videos the other day after we talked and arranged this. And one of my favorite scenes was in the second one, when the one guy's crawling on the ground in front of the building, and you come running up with a big H and stick it on the front. And that's a perfect example, like you just said, right?
Well, there's a reason they have big H's on the highway when you're near hospitals, right?
Yeah.
It's to get you there. Do you participate as a young fella in any associations, any peer groups, industry groups, or anything?
Yeah, so we're involved. Starting last year, we signed up with the CPIA. So we're just starting to get involved with that lately. We're also a big sponsor out at Print Forward, the Vancouver, BC-based printing association.
Cool.
We're the main sponsor every year for the past 3 years now. We're going to be 4 years, I believe, now this year, of their annual golf tournament.
Cool. Yeah, just it's important always to be out there and moving around, and even amongst competitors today. I think all the companies have pretty good equipment.
Yep.
It's really just about it becomes more about the relationship after.
People sell to people, right? And people buy from people.
Do you find that when you're selling equipment, do you find that people are changing brands often, or when somebody's in with a manufacturer, like unless you fuck up, you're pretty good to keep it?
It's I think it's a pretty mixed bag right now. There is definitely a certain part of the market that's got what I call the Apple mindset, where there's one certain brand that's the best in their mind. That's all that exists, and there's no change in their mind whatsoever.
Right.
At the same time, a significant share of the market thinks about from a more rational business standpoint, and will look at all the options and say, where are my pros and cons? And like you said, the pros and cons these days aren't about really the print quality anymore. A lot of the time,
Yeah.
it's about the after the fact service, support, parts, cost of ownership. Those are the intangibles that can't really be laid out on a ROI or on a spreadsheet that can really make the difference at the end of the day.
Oh my God, it's so right. So I have a question. When you guys install a press, how many weeks training do you give?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Three
All right,
weeks.
you should give 5, but I'm just saying only
Five.
because only. Well, I'll tell you why. As the printer and having many people working on the presses, you could just never have enough. The more
Yep.
you know within a short period of time, the greater you move ahead and advance and save money on all those errors,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
It's a big investment. So a lot of times in the past, I always found it to be a little short. I'm saying you should put another 5, 10 grand on the machine and give the 5 weeks, right? Maybe not always, maybe not in a row,
Yeah.
because the big problem is, and I'll just say it to you because I say it to everybody, we as printers are laying out the money. We're on the hook no matter what happens. The payments have to be made every month.
Yeah.
We need to be up and running all the time properly, right? And I think there's a small disconnect between owners and the big companies that sell the owners. A
Yeah.
lot of the manufacturers think that that we whine and we complain a bit, right? And just it is what it is. And I don't call it whining and complaining. I'm saying we got to pay for the machine every day, no matter what,
Right.
right? If everyone at the company leaves at the manufacturer, we still got to pay for the machine because we have a contract.
Yep.
And on the manufacturer OEM side, nobody's life is on the line. Nobody's risking it all. The printer's always risking it all. So
Yeah.
I'm just an advocate for the printer, always pushing for more service, more stuff. Not necessarily. I never ask for a cheaper price. I'd rather pay the price, but load it up with stuff that we're going to need.
And that's the
Right.
right mindset to have, right?
Well, listen, we all in life, you pay for what you get,
Yeah.
right? So if you think you're getting a deal, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I always try to push the OEMs to give us more.
Oh, it's interesting you said that about training too, because we treat our training the same way. Is we go in for a week or 2 weeks. We get customers comfortable with the how to operate the operating system and how to operate the main controls of the press, and then we'll come back maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months later for that last week to make either a refresh or maybe we've installed a what we call a PQA camera inspection system. And if it's too big of a press on the install to do all the training in 2 weeks, then we'll go back, we'll leave that extra system for now. And then we'll say, you get comfortable with running the press first, and then we'll come back and show you how to operate all the more detailed and sophisticated features.
You still have to give them 2 more weeks of training. I don't care what you say.
Well, we'll add it on.
It's good for the employees.
We'll
Right.
add it on, and we'll call it the Warren Werbitt warranty program.
Anybody listening, dealing with him, you don't get those extra 2 weeks, you call me. I'll take care of it. No, we ought to have fun in this industry too, right?
Yep. Yep.
It can't just be about. Even when I made the video, it was really all about fun because at the time everyone in the company was young, right? And it's like everybody was partying and raving, and I don't really have raves anyways today anymore, which I guess I don't know if it's good or bad, but it was always fun. But I think print is the best industry in the world. I think it's the most fun, right? I think everything changes every day. We see different stuff, so it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
So
And you can't work every day doing something you don't find fun, right? That's a miserable way to live.
You know what? There's too many people doing that.
Yeah.
Right. I figured it out a long time ago. If you're passionate about what you do, you're solid.
It's
right?
it's the cliche saying as cliche as it is. If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, right?
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, it's it's close. It's close, but that's cool. Great. So, any parting words on life, industry, company? You just message for everybody.
Yeah, it's just it's an industry right now where we're in kind of a crossroads. I'm sure you see it, maybe not as much these days, where you did see it, where you see a lot of the people in the industry aging at a certain rate and aging out at a certain rate, and you don't see the people coming back in, the younger people coming back in at that same rate. So what's that can do for the industry in the future? I know I'm going to be around for the foreseeable future. I don't know who else is, what else is. No one knows the future. But we got to get some more young people invested, committed into the industry to help grow it. Otherwise, that is where it's going to die, not because of print dying, but because of the lack of labor and the lack of people to help keep print alive. So I see some of the programs that my customers do and other printers do, bringing in students from GCM program at Ryerson there, and bringing in other young people for tours of the plant. I think that's a great way to get started and show someone kind of behind that wall how. I mean, it's like that show how it's made on Discovery Channel.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
Everyone's always interested in how something's made. A carton or a magazine is no different. People wouldn't believe the amount of work, labor, machinery that go into even just making your standard magazine. And I think that
nobody knows anything how it was made, right? And it's
exactly.
all so cool, and printing especially.
Yeah. And,
right.
And at least for me, the more I dove into it, the more I fell in love with it. And now here I am, and this is my path now.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to try to recruit more people, get them to come in, do more talks. And if you have any associates, printers, other vendors that are in the young age, turn them on to me, and let's get them out there, and let's promote. And I think there should be an association or an organization for people under 40 in print.
Yep.
Right? Where you're having different parties, you're going out, gatherings, different topics. Anyway, I'm happy. If you want to set that up, I'm happy to help you.
Do I have to pay for that idea?
I'm always in for a party. It keeps you young. The later you stay out every night, the younger you are.
I feel the opposite. I like to go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock. It makes me feel younger when I wake up.
Oh my fucking God. Really?
On a weekday? Yeah.
We got to go out one night. I got to change that for you. You got it all backwards. Dude, you got plenty of, you know what? You're going to sleep when you're dead. You're too young for that.
Yeah, I need my beauty sleep.
Not going to help you.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Brad, thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure to get a different spin, younger spin. I think you guys are a great company. You service, you do all that. So if you're going to look at a Komori, call Komcan in Canada. Call Komori in the US. If you want a Komori, if you want something else, call someone else. To everybody listening, thank you always for chirping in. If you have any thoughts, you have any ideas, anything you'd like to hear me talk, say, do, reach out to me, let me know. Brad, once again, thanks so much. Everybody, Warren Werbitt, what they think. I love print.